All right, welcome to today's coffee lecture, which is going to be about Obsidian for personal knowledge or information management, depending on how you want to look at it. So what is this going to be about? So one thing we all have in our lives is lots of little notes or little bits of information we somehow want to retain, and we could do this as depicted on the left with a lot of post-its, or maybe we have our own note card reservoir. And these are the analog ways, and Obsidian is a way to do this in a digital version. So what is this? Let me show you. Obsidian MD is the website. It's a lightweight markdown editor. I will just show you what that means. You can have it on Windows, Mac, Linux, and for mobile devices on iOS and Android. It's free for non-commercial use. And I think that is the big highlight or plus side of it. It uses plain text files. And I'm also going to show you what I mean by that. That's already the summary. I think I'm not going to do that now. So let me show you what this looks like. Here I have my Obsidian editor open. I can have different notes. I can have folders here that I can expand and close again. And then once I click on something, it gets opened here in the middle. And now I want to talk about Markdown. There is different things we can do in Markdown. We can have links that link to other pages. So for example, this one doesn't exist yet, but I have made a link and I could click on that. And then it opens directly a new file that is called link. And I can navigate back. Then I have tags. I will tell you in a second how you can use them to find stuff again. I can format things in italics, bold. I can have lists. That here is how I type them. I'll show you in a second what it's going to look like. And then we can have headers, and they always start with a hashtag and then with a space. So this is the edit mode. Now I change to the read mode, and then you see that the list is nicely numbered here, that the characters have disappeared. Here, instead of the hyphens, I got bullets, and I can also have checkboxes for maybe my to-do lists. And I have the headers below. Also, I can have some text here, and I can collapse or expand them if I want to see that or not. So that is the main functionality. So you can just dump your stuff in here, and it's nice. But of course, there is more. I could, for example, say now I go back to the edit mode. I can also add something. So let me quickly move that over here. And hey, that needs to go. So here I have a picture. I can also kick that here, and it's going to be referenced with a link. And if I change to read mode, then it should be displayed. Now something went wrong. I cannot tell you why. But I show you another example because somewhere I have one. Let me see this. Here, for example, I can also add a PDF and then have this displayed somewhere. So now the question is, how does this help me to find the stuff again? And there is different answers to this question. So we have a search functionality here on the left side. And I can, for example, say, well, let me search for coffee lectures. And then I get a lot of different hits. For example, here I've also installed a plugin that tracks my changes so I can retrace them. And then I see I have coffee lectures here and here and here. And I get many results. But what we also see, if I go to one of these, maybe not that one here in the planning, no, neither. Program. Here I have a tag. So it's a hashtag, then there is no space, and then directly some words. And this can help me index my stuff. So I can use this hashtag to search more of these and maybe connect different notes that are on the same topics. And I can also search for these hashtags. So here I have coffee. Now I change that and I add a hashtag, and then I have much fewer hits. So I can be more specific in what I search and find it again. So that is one of the upsides. I can also visualize that. So let's look at the graph view. So these are now my different notes. You have the notes in green, they are about shopping, and then I have the tags in this reddish Bordeaux color. And I can also say, well, tags, I don't want to see them, I just want to see the notes, and then I can see which ones are connected by links, and maybe which ones don't have any connections. Maybe I can integrate them better in my knowledge network. And how else could I do that? Let me show you an example for that as well. So here I have this article on the inorganic crystal structure database. It's called ICSD. And so I'm just going to copy that text, and I'm going to create a new note that says inorganic, enough of that. And I copy that inside. And now I open this pane on the right side. And here I can actually check, oh, is there actually an article for some of the words? So here I see I have ICSD, and it tells me there is actually already a note that is ICSD. And so I could say, well, then make a link out of this so that these are then afterwards connected. And that is, of course, the original thing. Now that didn't quite show what I wanted to do, so let me quickly do this manually. And now I have converted this unlinked mention to a linked one. So these are the main things or features that we have in here. There is many more, and I want to show you a few of them. One of them that I use regularly is, for example, it has this calendar feature, and I can make notes for certain days, and I use this in my workflow. So, for example, I could create a note for today. This is maybe not so interesting now, but how I work is that, for example, I say, well, sometimes in November, let's say the 13th, I need to remember that at some point I need to plan on doing something. And then every day I just look into this list and see, oh yeah, is there anything that's urgent now? And I also transfer the things that I haven't done from today that are not so important, so I carry them on. And it's a different way of keeping your to-do list. There is other things. So let me show that. Where do I have it? It's here. I have some of these checkbox items in some of my notes. So here in shopping, it says buy tea, and I can see which ones I haven't done yet. I can use this functionality. I don't do this personally, but it's one option how you could organize your stuff. So it's not only for knowledge, but you can also use it for tasks. For me personally, it's much more about keeping track of things I should do, but not about this kind of to-do list functions, but in a different way. With that, I want to show one more thing, and that is the overview. So here I can also connect some of the notes visually. Here I have now some empty ones, but if I go down, I see here the canvas. I have, oh yeah, that's how I paint. So here I have my program of the coffee lecture, so I can link these things. So if you're more the visual type of person and you really want to read it at the same time as visualize the connections, then this is the way to go, because what I showed you before with the dots is created automatically and it will look different each time. So that is more for seeing what is connected and what is not. And with that, I'm almost at the end. What I also want to show you, there's also drawing functionality. So you can like sketch inside here. That's what some people use. You could have Kanban boards for your project management, or you could have data view that aggregates certain stuff. So like, what files did I create in a certain week? What are files that are not linked, to maybe better integrate them and not do it visually and manually, or see what are the tagged things from your last process. So you can automate some of the stuff to better rework your network. Of course, this is not the only thing that you could do. There's also Notion, which is free if you are affiliated with the university, but it's in the cloud. So Obsidian stays on your device. There is Roam Research, which is also on the cloud. Zetteler is offline and also on your device. And maybe before I really finish, I also want to show you, because I showed you before this markdown, and so that's the way this thing is saved. So even if the company that offers this product goes bankrupt, you can still open the file and you still have the text. And I think that is one of the advantages of this, because you never know how long software companies exist, or if they get taken over and are not nice companies anymore that you want to use. With that, I'm almost at the end. Here is the coffee lecture card that you can download. I will just pop a link in the chat. And for those of you here physically, of course, we also have printed copies. And then I want to thank you for your attention, and I hope you join us again next Tuesday for learning about LinkedIn for students and scientists. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask here in the audience or to unmute if you're joining virtually. And I'm now going to stop the recording.